You're listening to Caffeine Boost, brewed by Allianz PNB Life. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another episode of Caffeine Boost. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning!
Hi, good morning!
Emma, you have kwento?
Yeah, I have kwento for you guys.
Go ahead.
So, yes. Alam nyo ba yung story behind the Frappuccino blended beverage of Starbucks? You wanna know?
Sure.
Well,
Yeah,
actually, very timely because they're celebrating their 25th birthday this year. O, di ba? Ang tagal na.
Silver
Yeah, so
lining yan ng 2020. There's something good about 2020.
I know, definitely. So, let's go back to 25 years ago when Starbucks was just mainly on hot beverages, diba? Eh, syempre, lalo na sa US, paano ka naman iinom ng mainit na beverage sa gitna ng summer? Diba? So, they wanted to... Yeah, so the team wanted to create something new just so they can also, kumbaga, bring something to the table when it's summer season sa US. Hence, the birth of the Frappuccino blended beverage. So, that started when they, that time, actually, 1993 pa lang, they were already experimenting on blended beverage just like other coffee shops or coffee companies.
Yep.
Pero in 1994, or around 1994, they actually acquired the company called the Coffee Connection in Boston, and they had this product called Frappuccino. So, nung binili nila yung company na yon, they realized they wanted to use that name for their new blended beverage. And so, in 1995, they launched the first Starbucks Frappuccino in the flavors of coffee and mocha. They thought na, okay, let's try this. Pero you know what? Sales went high. They were on the first week of their launch, they were selling like 200,000 cups already per week. Ang in-expect lang nila 100. So and then it doubled and then doubled more. Then yun, hanggang sa napunta na siya sa Canada, US, and all. So now it became a trend every summer sa US na you buy a Frappuccino for yourself, of course, to beat the heat, beat the summer heat. So anong moral of the story dito? So ngayon kasi, if you go now to how the Frappuccino blend beverage evolved further, they even created in the early 2000s na, they even created Frappuccino Light for those na medyo on a diet, diba? Kasi lesser calories.
Yeah.
And in 2010, they even created this however you wanted Frappuccino blended beverage. Literally, that's the name. However you want it.
Bahala.
Yes.
So it's up to you to decide, no, what you want to put in that beverage.
Yeah, even on the type of milk, ano gusto mong syrup, ano gusto mong flavor, etc., which enables customers to unleash their creativity on the how they want their drink, their Frappuccino beverage to be curated.
Kaya pala, so patented pala kay Starbucks yung name na Frappuccino.
Yes. Parang kumbaga sa akala natin it's like a common noun lang, but actually it is a proper noun for a blended beverage. Parang toothpaste lang na associate sa isang brand, 'di ba? Ganon.
Interesting. Galing. Frappuccino. Emma, you mentioned unleashing the best version of yourself or something to that effect.
Yes.
And that's what coffee does, di ba? It can bring us up, tataas yung energy natin. And this has a lot to do with the qualities that our next speaker, our guest today, will talk about. Unleashing the best version of yourself. Emma, tell us about our new friend.
So let me introduce our guest for today. She was recently awarded the top 100 most influential Filipina women of the world and one of Asia's most distinguished women leaders. She is an international keynote speaker, author, coach, and the founder and master transformation rock star of Worldstage International, a thought leader in the field of neuro-linguistic programming or NLP, and a masterclass trainer in Singapore. She is currently affiliated with the NLP University based in the University of California as a global NLP trainer, the Fascinate Laboratory in the USA, the Association of NLP in the UK, and the Firewalking Institute and Research Education with the global reach of international coaches and firewalking instructors around the world. A widely followed transformation coach in Asia, she is an awakener of the awesome in people, having helped 500,000 individuals and businesses achieve breakthrough results. Friends, enjoy our conversation with Cherry Africa.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Caffeine Boost. Today, we are going to talk to an important person, a person that will teach us how to adapt better, especially in these times. I would like to introduce you to a very good friend of mine, an NLP master. You may be asking, what is NLP? She will answer that question later. Friends, please welcome Miss Cherry Africa. Hi, Cherry.
Hello, thank you so much, Giselle. Thank you so much for that introduction. Glad to see you again after 1 year, sabi mo nga, no?
Yes.
Yes. And hello to Emma and to Candice. And thank you so much for having me in your awesome Caffeine Boost session.
Glad to have you.
Than coffee nga, di ba? Okay.
Oo. Kung live ito, we would be, of course, sharing coffee, but that day will come when we will do that live podcast.
I will wait for the coffee from you just now.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Let's start. Cherry, what is NLP? Please fill us in.
Diba? NLP sounds very scientific, but in reality, it just stands for three basic things. No? N is neuro, L is linguistic, and P is programming. It's the mindset, the language, and the skills or your habits. So if you wanted to be a genius in something, whether you wanted to be a genius in leadership, in sales, in being a parent, for example, all you need to do is to have the right psychology. You need to be able to be a masterful speaker, communicator, and you need to make sure that your habits are resourceful and helpful to you. So if you're able to actually master the three things, put it all together, for sure you will get the results that you want.
So brain, language, and then yung
Habits.
Okay.
Yan.
Now with me is Emma and Candice. These are magnificent trainers. Shoot with the questions because I'm pretty sure marami kayong tanong kay Cherry about that.
Actually, I don't know a lot about NLP, Cherry, and for sure our listeners are feeling the same way. So when you say that this is a Bible for you to have, to become the genius that you wanted to be, whether you being a mom or in our industry, perhaps people who are listening wanted to be an expert in sales, no? So where do we start our journey in becoming NLP practitioners?
Let's talk first about, developing the most important thing is to start with yourself. NLP is all about transformation. In short, you are in a current state and you want to move to a desired state. So how do you hop from one to the next one? That requires a resource, and NLP is a possible resource. Now, what NLP is saying is it's personal. No, if you wanted to move from one to the next, no matter what the resources in your office, in your company, or in your homes, you can do it because you have an inner resource council in the form of your body, your spirit, your language, everything. So we are in control of our results. Diba? So we start with the most important thing in NLP is our psychology, our mind, our belief. Because whatever it is that we believe becomes. Diba? They transform or manifest into things. You want to be an MDRT, but your belief is money is the source of all evil. Your mind, your belief is going to sabotage your actions. You are going to, make sure unconsciously that you don't close that big sale kahit na consciously you're trying to close it, diba? Because yung belief mo is not consistent with your pattern, with your habits. So, a lot of the transformation intervention focuses on the habits, diba? Or on your skills. How do you become a master salesperson? We forget that the genesis of all of these things begins in the mindset and then the emotions, diba? So whatever is in your emotion and in your mind translates to your language. Diba? So your words comprise of both conscious and unconscious programming. Kaya nga minsan parang lumalabas in your tonality, even though you are carefully filtering your words, lalabas talaga yung true intentions and true feelings mo. No, unconscious yan. So if you wanted to, to get to your results, you must be able to control the unconscious. You must be able to understand your unconsciousness, because it is going to be either your greatest helper or the greatest disaster to your results.
It comes out naturally, even if you try so hard to hide it. Talagang naturally it will come out if your
It will
mindset
come
is not
out.
there.
It will come out.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Cherry, there's a very obvious challenge nowadays. Now, I may have set myself to great successes in the past. Say, for example, pre-March 2020, I was already saying, by this time of the year, August 10 of 2020, I'll be an MDRT already. I'll be the achiever already. I'll be the awardee of this, whatever award is already. But the obvious thing happened. The lockdown happened. Corona came uninvited. Now everything is challenged. And everything, as I know it, has been questioned and doubted. How do I surpass that fear? Yeah.
Well, the context has changed. This is such a wicked thing. I mean, if you want to see it that way, that has happened to us. It's a seismic change in the context. And because the context has changed for us, meaning the world has changed, there's no more face-to-face selling, it's all digital selling, diba? We have lost control of the content. Essentially, ang difference na ng content and context sounds very technical. Ibig sabihin lang yan, if I present you a glass that's has a half, water in it. My question is it half filled or half empty? Whatever your answer is, both are correct. Because it is both half filled and half full and half empty.
Right.
And seeing it as half full and half empty, that is the content, meaning it's the meaning that you give to a certain context, which is a glass that has, half full of water or empty of water. So in short, we have lost the content. We have lost the meaning, our ability to actually create the meaning to this because of this context change. And we have lost control of everything. And it is so easy. It is so easy to actually just lose control and crash. Diba?
Okay.
Na parang, and especially now that no one is succeeding, it is so easy to actually just say, sige, next year na lang. Total, nobody's gonna be MDRT this year. No, it is so easy to be caught in a trap of sameness. Lahat tayo sabay-sabay na lang tayo mag-fail or sabay-sabay na lang tayo mag-mediocre at mag-procrastinate. And the good news about that is we could also control the content again. No, we could actually recover lost meaning. And that's the reason I'm saying in NLP, it's all about your programming. Diba? What is it that you see? You see opportunity. Diba? When so many people have given up, now there are only a few people who are actually raising their hands and standing up. So you actually, are able to control the market that's out there waiting, because everybody is digital right now. We have more time to say yes to an appointment. Diba? And so which means that the field has grown bigger because the what do you call that? The awareness for health, diba? For protection.
Right.
Has been so persistent and so strong in this time. Mm-hmm. So there is actually more opportunity than loss. And so we need to actually just make sure that, we program our mind to the right belief, and we hold the smaller beliefs into our big belief as something that's important, but it's no longer relevant to us. We don't give a lot of energy and meaning to that.
Cherry, parang as I see it, when I hear it, it's easier said than done eh. Parang I've already heard that from a couple of close friends, even my family, even my parents, even myself actually. As much as gusto ko siyang gawin na lang, mahirap talaga siya, lalo na sa sitwasyon natin ngayon. So, how can you probably change or influence yourself, your mindset, to look at that opportunity instead of the loss, perhaps?
I think the answer to that, totoo yan, Emma, no? It's easier said than done. It's easier to preach than to actually do it. And so, ang answer lang dyan is simple model. That's my answer. In short, when we talk about turning it around, we're seeing na parang magic or miracle, di ba? Ang answer dito is, what is that simple model that we need to actually, buy into. For example, trying to become MDRT requires that my first milestone is to wake up early every day.
Mm.
That's going to be a simple model. And then, ang next step niyan is compounding. How do you compound? Meaning, this simple change must be done consistently in the next many days until it becomes a habit. Remember, habit is the third of the NLP. It becomes a program. Because I truly believe, because the belief tells me, if I wake up earlier every day, let's say, for example, 3 hours, our recommendation is 3 hours before the first hour of your work day, work hours. So if you work at 8 a.m., you wake up at 5 a.m. and you do things that's actually going to feed your spirit, your mind, and your body, then you're able to actually produce more. You've begun the day right. And so that is actually a simple model, compounded every day until it becomes a habit. And then you become more productive, you become more powerful, and then that's leveled up. Then you go to the next form of transformation. The reason why change is so hard, it's because we're thinking it requires a leap of faith, and a leap when it could just be a small baby step. So kailangan ganun lang. And we need to actually come up with that model, with that system. Diba? So in some of our, in a lot of our MDRT sessions this COVID year, we've emphasized a lot on just small change, but do it consistently. Parang compounding, diba? Sa business ninyo, may compounding effect din kayo. In real life, meron din compounding effect ang mga little things that we do to change our state, to change our mindset, to change our habits.
Wonderfully put. Kasi, di ba? Totoo ba yun? Einstein na nagsabi that compounding is one of the best equations that he could ever think of. So that's from a mind of a genius that statement came.
How will you know pala if you have reached already that point that, kasi we were talking about unleashing best versions of yourself, right? So how will you know if you have reached that point? Is it the sign na naka-achieve ka na ng isang bagay? Or kunyari, let's say for example, you want to open a business at the end of the year. Yung ba talaga yung sign or indicator na you have reached the best version of yourself pala?
The best version of syempre, you need to have a goal, diba? And that you have actually declared that goal at the onset, the vision. I think the pursuit to actually reach your highest version never stops until our last breath. Diba? So when I say, for example, I've reached my best version or highest version now, to me, what it means is that I've reached a higher version versus a better version versus my best version. But then, there's still gonna be growth, diba? Growth never stops. So we will only reach our highest version, when we get there and face our master and say, this is me and this is my best version. So because of the knowledge that learning never stops, we need to make sure that, we continue to learn and lean in and try to, get as much lesson from whatever experience we have. To the question of Emma, ito ba yung kung na-achieve mo na kunwari MDRT or kung nabili mo na yung bahay mo, diba? I'd like to be a little bit spiritual and say, because not everybody who has reached MDRT feel that it is their best version. Diba? Parang, hindi ko naman gusto to, o hindi naman, na-chamba ko lang or what. To me, it is really the internal congruence. Na at the point that you have reached whatever it is that you said you will reach for a particular, time frame, that you feel you are internally congruent. Your body is strong, hindi ka napagod, hindi ka parang burn out, diba? Or nafe-feel mo, for example, that your spirit is spent, you were feeling, so huge and big because you're able to offer something to the world. So you are all totally congruent, and then you've achieved a particular milestone. You pat yourself on your back, and then you say, the next breath, what's next out there? What is it that I want to achieve? It's a vision. To me, the highest version will always remain a vision. Diba? Sabi nga ni Oprah Winfrey, you need to make sure that you create the highest and the grandest vision of yourself, because whatever it is that you actually believe will become, or you will become what you believe. It is a vision. It is a constant search for that. We don't know. I don't know what my highest version is, but for now, I know when my highest version was.
Cherry, I actually saw and read in your biography that you conduct masterclass training sessions in NLP in Singapore. Tama ba ako? So maybe pwede mo naman kaming bigyan ng sneak speak on how we can actually learn a bit or two, no, a tip or two on how to do NLP or neuro-linguistic programming? Maybe may share ka naman sa amin.
If you're looking for, 'di ba, the first thing I would suggest you do is to read a book, 'di ba? To read a book on NLP.
Okay.
Ang watch out lang dito kung hindi kayo masyadong mahilig magbasa kasi NLP books can be very technical kasi 'di ba? It's
They
all
are. Yeah.
psychology,
They
di
can
ba?
be. That's right.
So parang hindi siya easy reading, and hence it might actually tire you. To me, the biggest value of NLP to me is I've applied it in my own life. No, you could actually be a master of NLP and still actually be so poor in your performance. Why you don't apply it? You just know it, diba? You just cognitively know it, but you are not processing it in your life. Kasi yung sinabi ni Emma, tama yun eh. Yung sinabi ni Emma na parang madali yan sabihin, madali yan i-preach, ang hirap kaya niyan i-live. Kunwari sabi ng NLP, you need to be at your highest emotional state. Because you cannot produce your peak performance if you are not in your highest emotional state. Madaling sabihin, it sounds very right. Pero paano na pag nagagalit ka na, pag nabubwisit ka na, di ba? Kapag na-frustrate ka na, pag nagka-crash ka na, how do you handle that? But I have seen in so many of my experiences working with teams that if a person is at crash state, you cannot achieve anything, and you should never ever trust your decisions and your thoughts at crash state. Diba? You should only trust your decisions and thoughts when you are at your peak state or at your coach state. So NLP tells you how to move from crash to coach. How do you do that, diba? Gandhi's maraming way yan, no? Magbasa tayo and then maybe you could look at the videos. But at the end of the day, something that feeds your mind, to me, it's a lot of meditation, a lot of visualization, diba? And also a lot of creative oblique exercises, puzzles, etc. Because it opens, NLP is always looking at things from a creativity standpoint. In short, problem solving. Hindi ka mag-stay at the problem state. Okay, alam na natin yung problema. Are we going to actually just romanticize this problem and say, kawawa naman tayo? Or are we going to actually get out of that immediately and solve it creatively? So you need to make sure your mind is ready for all of these oblique exercises. Diba? And that is innovation. Diba? At this point when we're having this pandemic, the right course here is to innovate. Diba?
Right.
And then feed your body, exercise, diba? Do a lot of things because NLP is all about physiology also, and feed your emotions. No, feed your emotions. So how do you feed your emotion? Compassion feeds your emotion. The more you start to actually, we call it in NLP person number 2. It is our ability to get out of our own persona and look at things from the point of view of the person number 2, so that we hold the bigger field. For example, annoying client. An irate client who will non-stop talk, and yank about how poorly you're serving the person. Ang tendency natin, nagagalit rin tayo. Pero can we actually, hold the bigger map and put ourselves on the shoes of the person and say, tama naman siya eh. Ang hirap when we are being attacked. Ang hirap when we have done our best and sasabihin sa atin, ikaw pa ang may problema. Our natural, tendency is to defend ourselves.
Yes.
Diba? That's person number 1. But person number 2 is actually to just be the bigger person and say, your story is as much correct as my version of the story. Flexibility lang, adaptability, diba? Yun lang, kailangan lang hindi tayo masyadong in love sa story natin. Because everyone, I have stopped, the moment I learned NLP, I have stopped thinking that my perspective ay alpha pa naman, di ba? My perspective is better than the other perspective, di ba? Ang important, I've always now told myself, everyone's perspective is right.
Wow.
The question is, who holds the bigger map? Who holds the bigger story? Diba? The more compassionate person, diba? The more the person who listens more, the person's more flexible. You're going to nail the sale if you're more flexible.
Yeah. And I reckon that has really changed a lot in terms of how you build relationships with other people, right? If you appear to be more compassionate, to be more approachable, diba?
Yes.
So I like that.
Yes.
I think that's a good reminder, and I was gonna say lang kanina na it really is the ability of an individual to change your mind and your body, no? Kasi you really have to do a lot of programming in order to reach that state.
Yes. The
How long did it take
mindfulness and
you?
Kailangan
everything.
umeffort.
Yeah. Oh, how long did
Oo.
it take you to
Pero,
reach that level?
maganda yung question mo, Candice, and then sinabi rin ni Emma, kailangan of effort. Effort tayo kapag nasa consciousness natin. 'Di ba? Kunwari, example, gigising tayo na maaga, hindi siya part ng programming. When you say programming, it's unconscious eh. Program tayo, 'di ba? So, pagka hindi tayo gumigising na maaga and we say, from now on, I'm gonna wake up early, that is a conscious and an intention, 'di ba? So, mahirap siya, effort ka. Pero can you imagine this? Pag sanay ang body mo, if your body is actually programmed to wake up early, hindi ka na effort, no alarm, you are just awoken.
I'll build on
Good.
that concept of tapping into your unconscious, the unconscious, right, Cherry? That's what NLP is all about. Am I correct to assume that?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so I just really wanted to compare that particular practice to getting or being mindful, because I know there are a lot of books right now about practicing your being mindfulness and really being fully present and aware of what's really going on currently. No, so how is that then different from NLP, where you tap into the unconscious? Maybe we can talk more about the between those two concepts.
There's nothing different. I mean, both holds, it is so consistent with each other. They complement each other. Being mindful is one of the things that, if you wanted to ensure that for example, I want to protect my belief, no? There are so many conflicting beliefs inside me. The first belief is I am in control of this entire thing. The second belief totally opposes that I'm no longer in control.
Yeah.
Diba? And they are fighting inside your mind and it's making you go crazy. You don't anymore know what to do. So being mindful, for example, is telling yourself, I will consciously hold on to the bigger belief. And that is, I am in control of the situation. So you are actually trying to be more mindful, more conscious of your actions, more present. When you are mindful, your reticular activation brain or system is looking for things that's actually complementing or giving evidence that your belief is correct. And the moment, let's say, for example, I am in control of my situation. I am mindful. I am present. I am looking for evidences around me that tells me I'm in control. Diba? And then nagkaroon ng isang problema and you were able to solve it. Then it gives you a sense of power. Evidence yan. I'm in control. And then your mind or your brain is going to actually start to feel excited. We can do this. And because you have given the command to your unconscious brain, start looking for other evidences. It will start to actually give you even more evidences until you are so sure that this is the right and the more useful belief to follow on. Para na yan, di ba, pagka sinabi mo sa sarili mo, gusto kong bumili ng red car. Di ba, all of a sudden, you go out, you see a lot of red cars.
That's true.
Yes.
Because you have told your unconscious mind. Di ba? Hindi mo sinabi sa sarili mo, paglabas ko, sana makita ko ng red car. All of a sudden, yun nga yung gusto kong car eh. Tingnan mo, di ba? Bakit? Because unconsciously, your reticular activation brain or system heard. Ito pala yung gusto mo. Diba? So sabi niya, then ayan ang gagawin ko. Your unconscious mind is so powerful, but it also waits. It is waiting for your conscious mind to give it the right directions.
Right.
And when in the absence of directions, in the absence of intentions, it will actually go forward as programmed. So example, kung ang programming mo is whining, diba? Or ranting, pag hindi mo sinabi, pag nag-open ka ng eyes the next day and say, from now on, I will stop whining and I will just look for the good in people. If you don't say that to your mind, if it was programmed to rant and to whine, it will continue doing the same thing. Kaya nga programming eh. Diba? Programmed ka. We are all, creatures of habit. Diba? So we are programmed to do something, to think something, to feel something. It's all a program. And if you want to change your program, you've got to be mindful and conscious and intentional.
I like that answer,
Beautiful.
Cherry. So it's interchangeable pala yung two concepts na yun.
Yeah, one holds the other, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is, mindfulness is one way to take care and to protect our mindset. Diba?
So if that's
yeah, go ahead.
sige.
Go ahead.
Sige,
Go ahead,
Giselle,
Emma,
go ahead.
Go ahead. You first.
No, I want to ask lang kasi na syempre I'm looking at it at the perspective na you want to become better, di ba? So, kung gusto mo i-change yung program mo, then yun nga, you have to tell your mind. You have to be conscious about it. So, if you keep on doing it, ano kaya yung, ako na nga, I don't know if I'm being devil's advocate or something, but ano kaya yung pwedeng maging parang, I don't know if it's even unconscious, mistakes or big mistakes na pwede mong magawa when you try to have that kind of mindset or, changing your programming to become better? Ano ba yung mga pwedeng maging setbacks or pwedeng maging mali natin in the future?
I think mapagod. That's one thing, di ba? Mapagod. You see, when you decide to make a change and to transform, the first thing that can go wrong will go wrong. I was just in a conversation with one person who says, I want to make a big change in my life. And nag-usap kami, ayos na. Gumising siya. Ang una niyang tanong sa akin the next day is, tama ba itong gagawin ko? Parang mali. Di ba? Kasi, di ba, there is always something in the force of a universe that's going to make you doubt your belief. Kaya nga, di ba, kapag champion ka, kailangan strong yung iyong mindset, di ba? Mental resilience. Resilience means you are gonna fall down and you're gonna recover. Resilience, di ba? Pagka nagkaroon ng bagyo, nawalan tayo ng bahay, magtatayo ulit tayo ng bahay. So we are able to recover. So I guess one of the setbacks here is when you decide, for example, to you commit to it, and then there will be so many things, the shadowy forces inside us who's telling us, bakit pinahirapan mo pa yung sarili mo? Diba? And then it becomes louder and louder. And then your loved ones, your spouse will tell you, kawawa ka naman, diba? And then ilalagay ka sa isang nakakaawang posisyon na ba't ka matrabaho ng trabaho, diba? So, and all of these things add on to the possibility of making you doubt your own decision or your commitment. And so, kung napapagod tayo, that's, I guess, one of the mistakes if we start to actually give up when the cost and the vision is so noble and so worthwhile, but because of three things, exhaustion, frustration, and boredom, you decide, I'm going to actually, take a U-turn. Then, ang kulang dyan is emotional stamina. Mental stamina. Stamina is staying in the game when it becomes tiring, boring, and frustrating. At maraming moments yan, especially during this portion of in the history of our life, during this 2020 impossible year, ang daming forces that's telling us, get frustrated, get bored, and get tired.
Yeah, and easily get angry.
Yes. No, a little provocation, nagagalit na.
That's right.
Ano na, wala na. Yung hinihingi natin na work-life balance, all of a sudden we are placed in a situation na may work-life balance, naiinis din tayo. Kasi di ba, walang boundaries. Di ba? Nag-meeting minsan, bigla na darating yung anak mo, nagkikling on to you, di ba? Yeah. And we need to hold the right mindset to behave properly. Ang powerful kasi ng mind When you have the right mindset, you're going to behave differently. And remember this, the world sees our behavior. The world doesn't see our mind. You don't know. You're not seeing my belief. You don't know my belief. It's invisible to you. But you are going to make deductions or conclusions or meanings as to what my belief is from my behavior. And you see everything. The words, the tonality, the micro-expression, the micro-behavior. Everything must be congruent to each other. So I can fake something you can still see. Diba? Hindi kasi congruent. Pero itong behavior na to, ang nagde-determine ng results natin. Yung paggising natin sa umaga, our energy in front of a digital selling platform, that will determine if we get the results that we want or not. But that behavior is controlled by a bigger force, and that is called your emotion and your thoughts. And so we need to invest time to take care and protect our emotions and our thoughts.
That's right. You know what, Emma and Candice, I want to tell this to them, Cherry, kasi I've had the great fortune of attending your sessions with a lot of people, your live sessions, and there's an excitement that the excitement is really palpable. If you're part of that session, parang nararamdaman mo yung energy. And speaking of doubts and fears, both physical and mental, I've seen several activities like fire walking and arrow bending. Literally, Emma and Candice, you walk on fire.
Yeah.
And there's the arrow bending na nakatutok dito sa chest mo. You break it. It's against the wall. You break the arrow. There's shock value in that. Now, you spoke about exercises. Are these exercises going to affect your brain in such a manner that they will, it will change its mind.
When you say exercise, the fire walk and the arrow
Firewalk,
bending.
yeah, arrow bending, yeah.
Oh, definitely, definitely. No, when we started, when we talk about fire walking, it's walking on a bed of 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit of fire. No, it sounds visually on the optics, circus ba yan, di ba? Parang cultish ba yan, di ba? But if you experience it, if you stop overthinking and just go for it and charge yourself and put your body, the message of a firewalk is this. In all part, every day in our life, we're presented with fears. Diba? Different kinds of fear. And it is so easy to say, overcome your fear. Diba? Emma, sabi mo, ang daling sabihin. Pero in reality, hindi mo ma-overcome yung fear mo. Pero ayan ang apoy. Nakakatakot. Pag nalakad mo yung apoy na yan, it is already proof and evidence that you're able to transcend your fear. And it gives you the power. So in 6 seconds of walking on fire, it tells you a lot of things, no? And maraming leaders who have actually stood in front of the fire, who are actually very powerful, started to actually just feel afraid in front of the fire. Yeah. That's vulnerability.
Yeah.
Diba? And when we are actually, acknowledging all of these fears and are able to tame it, and cross through the fire despite of that fear, it says a lot of things about who you are and the kind of person you are. And that gives you a lot of power, motivation, permission to actually do the same thing in different parts of our life. So a firewalker, for example, will then tell himself, like, wait, I'm talking to myself right now, this is a fire. This is the real fire. Hindi firewalk tong COVID, itong pandemic. Nobody is actually, parang puppet na ginagawa lang niya tong Seneca Crane, parang Hunger Games na kinoncock lang itong game na to. No? This is the real thing. This is not a firewalk. This is the real firewalk. But I will tell myself that I've walked on fire hundreds of times. And I was, prepared for this big thing. And it changes the program. It hardwires my brain. It changes my state. I'm able to anchor on previous experiences of confidence and bring it here when I'm feeling afraid. And there were many instances I felt afraid and tired during this 5-6 months of lockdown. And I have felt that by anchoring on previous experiences, I was able to actually bring back, those peak states that I needed most in order to win this war.
That would be an awesome thing to learn, no, Emma and Candice? Speaking of another kind of fear, you've had several experiences having great mentors in your life. Ang nakikita ko at nakwento mo na sa akin is sila Mark Hansen, sila Sally Hogshead, and most fascinated of all, ako, Anthony Robbins. To be in front of them, to be amidst them, that would be instantly intimidation for me. Anthony Robbins yan big guy that he is. Tapos Anthony Robbins pa siya. What was that like? Tell us about that experience having Anthony Robbins, the Anthony Robbins as your mentor.
I've had several experiences with Anthony. It started with me attending his conference, and then with me actually, working with Anthony Robbins' team in the States, with a group of young people. When you talk about awe visually is you feel so small relative to someone who's so huge and big because you admire the person. Right. Diba? And you have reverence for the person, or you have fear of the person. And in order for you to actually contain the truth of that person, you have to actually become bigger. That is growth. Diba? So, but looking at Anthony Robbins literally makes you a very small person.
Literally, he's a giant.
He's literally a giant. He's huge, diba? He's huge. I began my experience with Tony when I was at a point of weakness in my life, when I didn't know what to do anymore. And at my age, midlife crisis, I wasn't achieving a lot of things. And I told myself, I'm going to actually do something brave. And I told myself, okay, I'm going to firewalk. And, here's Anthony Robbins, who's brought firewalking in Singapore. And I live in Singapore at that time. So it was easy for me to attend. And I got two things, no? The first thing was two messages. When I only wanted to transcend my fear, the two messages to me was, number one is you could conquer your fear. You're strong, diba? You're powerful, Cherry. Yay, galing, diba? The second thing is, I told myself, if this particular firewalk and this particular experience changed my life, then it can probably change. I have the capacity to utilize these tools to change other people's lives. And that's when I went on seriously embarking on making myself an expert in NLP and learning more about firewalking so that I could teach firewalking to the Philippines. And then the rest is history. I packed my bags and I moved back to the Philippines after almost 15 years of being away. That was how it influenced me. And then I went back to Dallas and I actually helped, in the Anthony Robbins team to actually do something more and give back. It's a compelling experience, Giselle. No, I think we need to intentionally put ourselves in the presence of mentors. We talk about highest version, diba? You will never know what your highest version is if you don't have models of excellence. Then you will always tell yourself, okay na ako, happy na ako, satisfied na ako. Then you look up, there are still so many people. It's a huge universe of people. Then you're going to say, I'm not satisfied just being here. I want to go up there, diba? And to me, being high up there means that your world is bigger. You're able to help more people. Diba? You're able to actually build more communities and more circles. You expand your circle of influence. You're able to do more good. And to me, our ultimate role is to make this, our presence on earth, to make this earth better than we found it. That is not just a wish. That is our responsibility. And we do that in whatever gift you wanted to flourish in.
Nice. Cherry, I have a question on NLP training. No? So I have not attended one and I have not read a single book about NLP. So, but I did hear or learn that NLP practitioners are trained to read cues. So when they are talking to another or when they're talking to someone else, they can actually see not just the verbal cues, but how the person makes eye contact, where they look, whether it's upper right hand or left hand, sa left side naman. So, can you explain to us how that whole mechanism works?
Parang forensics, no?
Parang may ganon. Is that true? Yung may eye accessing cues daw?
Nakakatakot, when I talk to people, some of them will say, I don't like to look at you because you're gonna read me. I don't mind read. No,
Exactly.
I think NLP skill, you see, I call it limitless sensing. Your senses are awake. When your senses are awake, you pay more attention, you get more information from the environment. Ang problema kasi sa atin, pag nag-text tayo, we are not paying attention anymore. Can you imagine this? If you're driving a car and you have a lot of sensorial, inputs around you, the billboard, the trees, whatever. But we don't pay attention to that. In NLP, we're trained to pay attention. Because it will give us the information that we need in order for our results to be to our favor. Diba? So we're just really paying attention, and a lot of the attention that we pay on that we pay onto our expressions, signs of congruence. For example, you'll know when you are selling something, hindi ka parang manhid, parang ayaw, nagte-text na nga, hindi ka na nga pinapansin, nagbabreak na ng eye contact, tuloy-tuloy ka pa mag-present. Why? Yeah. Because your programming tells you have to finish. Diba? Right. But in NLP, if we are not the same energy, if our energies don't match, it means you're resisting me. I cannot finish my communication. I have to do something to interrupt your pattern. Diba? So,
and how would you do that?
You could interrupt your pattern, or you could match the for example, kung tumitingin sa cellphone, then you're gonna say, for example, hinahanap ka na ng anak mo. Just like that, diba? So bigla na lang, same wavelength uli kayo, hindi naman, diba? So, kailangan na pay attention mo yan. And you're able to utilize whatever is offered to you by your environment to actually match it with the current situation, diba?
That's a tip.
So, and that's just it. I mean, it is not, you should not be scared. A lot of people are saying, pag NLP nakakatakot, no? In fact, you must be happy meeting an NLP person because it will really make you feel light, and there's a lot of positive air. You don't like to be with people who are, I call it bad juju, bad energy, di ba? Parang, ay nako, di ba? Mga bad juju around us, di ba? We wanted to be with good juju only, especially at this time, no? the COVID might be a big bad juju. So we want to make sure that we intentionally create a community where there is actually the energy is just going to be helpful. I don't think there are such a thing as a bad attitude or good attitude or bad behavior. Good. There is just a thing as a useful behavior or a useless behavior. Or we call it in NLP, the better word is resourceful or unresourceful. Are your emotions your resource right now? And when you talk about resource, diba, resource means parang ano ba, iniisip kasi natin resource is money, budget. Pero emotions natin resource. Dahil kapag bad pagka useless yung emotion natin, it's going to actually bring down our results down. So we need to make sure, ito bang, ano yung dapat na emotion na nandun ako at this point in time so that my emotion become a resource. So if my emotion is anger, I'm gonna ask myself, how can I utilize this anger to get what I want?
Yeah.
No, let's say for example, may benta ako tapos nakuha ng kalaban, that makes me very angry. And so what is the lesson that I'm picking up from there? From now on, I'm going to pay attention. I'm going to make sure that I take care of my client. I'm going to make sure that I serve my clients more. It should actually compel you, that this anger will compel you to behave better. Then it becomes a useful emotion. So even sadness can be a useful emotion. Diba? Even my depressive state can be a useful emotion if I intentionally want it to be useful. And how does it become a useful? It gives us lessons.
I like that. That's a very good reminder, no? Especially sa mga distributors natin na nakikinig ngayon. There are a lot of distractions at home. Even
people
us,
at work,
Giselle
people in
and
the selling
Emma.
field. That's true.
Exactly. Kahit tayo, we're in and out of meetings whole day. And sometimes, we're guilty of that, Sherry. Sometimes, even if we're in a meeting, we're also looking at our phones, looking at our emails. Your brother comes up to you, asks you for food. So, there are a lot of distractions. No, I can totally relate to that. So I guess at like the biggest learning I had from this conversation, Cherry, is really being focused, giving your 100% attention to whomever it is that you are talking to.
Yes.
Speaking of learning, Sherry, so I'm sure yung mga listeners kasi natin, hindi lang naman salespeople, even housewives, students, diba?
Yes.
Anyone, any business for people, diba? Anyone can be a listener for this show. So, can we give our listeners some tips? Kasi you already mentioned by having a simple model and having the kumbaga, changing your mindset, diba? So, aside from that, what are the other tips that you can give to our listeners so that they will be able to unleash the best version of themselves, especially in this difficult time?
I think the most important thing is to have a goal, diba? And to tell yourself, intelligent people have have fixed goals, but their strategies are flexible.
Yeah.
Diba? So nagkaroon ng COVID, but my goal, let's just talk about MDRT, for example. Diba? So when you have told yourself, diba, Josette, you were saying, in March, you told yourself, by March, I'll be MDRT.
Right.
Or by December, I'll be MDRT. Regardless of what happens, I'm going to be MDRT.
Yeah.
Diba? So I'm going to be MDRT, but my strategies are going to change. No? I'm now going to need to learn online digital platform.
That's right.
Diba? So, iba ang eye contact online, iba ang eye contact face-to-face. How do you actually communicate online? How do you actually feel the energy? Diba? So you've got to change your strategies, but your goal is still fixed. And when you will find out, the moment you commit yourself to a certain goal, the universe is going to conspire to help you. I believe in that. Even the MDRT society or council even lowered the target for MDRT this year.
They did, yeah.
Diba? So nagko-conspire ang people around. Tinutulungan ka mag-succeed. And we talk about MDRT. Ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng MDRT? Ibig sabihin ng MDRT, champion salesman ka, diba?
Yes.
So when are you going to be a champion? In an impossible year. What does that tell you when you become an MDRT in an impossible year like this year? It's not going to happen again next year. Next year is 1 year post-COVID. This year, we are creating rapid prototypes of the MDRT and how wonderful it is. And people will look at you with awe if you become the first batch of MDRT in an impossible year. So mas malaki ang at stake here. It's not just a trophy. Diba? It's not just it's not just being, the first of 10 years so that you will become lifetime MDRT. What this means is I am a champion.
Yeah.
I am resilient. I can recover. And when you actually anchor on that belief, it will it's an evidence. Whatever other big things happening in your life next year, you are going to recover. Why? It's a pattern. Diba? It's a pattern. It's a habit. It's programmed. You are programmed. I mean, uh, what happened to my business right now? We are 100% mass gathering.
Yes.
Now we do trainings face to face. When the lockdown happened, I even was in a state of denial. So we were talking in my team. We were doing all sorts of things and telling ourselves, kailan kaya pwede mag-mass gathering? After 3 months, we're gonna be okay. And then we got cancellation after cancellation. It went down to zero. From 500,000 people that were training, we went down to zero. It is very easy to just say, okay, we're gonna shut down and close. In fact, there's so many evidences that it will not make me lose face because so many other companies have closed down.
Yes.
But that is not the story we chose to believe. The story we chose to believe is this: we are in the transformation industry. If we leave, we actually, have deprived the world of the opportunity to transform through NLP. So now it is compelling for us to actually be present. How do we do that? We need to pivot. We need to migrate to a new platform. And that's when we actually dedicated and committed our time and energy to learn online platform, which we have never done before. But if you actually commit yourself, the rest is really just logistics and schedule. Diba? And we are programmed to actually do that. But the mind must conspire first with the rest of our bodies to make sure it happens. Otherwise, you'll always wake up doubting your decision.
Fantastic.
That's
I'm
very
not going
nice.
to ask you for a parting shot already. That is one great sound bite that we're going to keep listening to from here on in. Now, Cherry, everybody wants to know more about what you teach and what you preach and what you can contribute to the world. Please tell us where we can find you, where we can listen to you more.
Well, the name of the company is Worldstage International.
Yes.
We are highly stalkable. You could stalk us in Facebook, in LinkedIn, in YouTube. We have a lot of videos. We've posted a lot of videos there, so you can find us there. Oh, there you go.
There you go. Galing. But my crew.
Flex. All right, so you could follow us in social media, well, we are very active in the financial advisement. Tama ba yung akin? Industry, no?
Yes.
So we've always been talking to MDRTs or MDRT wannabes and trying to understand the prototype for success in this particular industry because we do work a lot with the industry, you can also follow me in Cherry Africa. So there's also a lot of consistent, a message there on NLP. Pretty soon we are going to have our NLP practitioner course. I think that's an exciting thing to look for, to watch out for. Candice, you're asking a lot of NLP. We're doing that. We've worked a lot of with a lot of global trainers in NLP, even the mother and the founders of NLP. So we part of our work right now back end is to try and invite them into our system so that they could also train a lot of Filipino practitioners wannabe. Ayan. So watch out for that towards the end of the year or early next year. We're gonna launch our practitioner course, and we have a lot. We're working a lot also with teams and companies on coming up with culture enhancer programs, exercises, because there's a lot of disengagement, a lot of tired energy. So we want to come in for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and even half a day to try and inspire change in the culture. At the end of the day, culture is the best strategy for results. So if you want to have results, still people. So if the people are tired, the results are average. But if the people are strong, I truly believe, it can improve the bottom line significantly. We take care of people and the profits will take care of itself.
Love
Fantastic.
that.
I love hearing that. And I'm hearing it again. I still feels fantastic hearing that. Now I can feel the vibe of Candice and Emma. First vibe, please enroll us, sir. Tama?
Yes.
I was about to say
Second
that.
I was gonna say
second
that.
vibe ng dalawa is, sir, let's get Cherry the soonest time possible. Day 2 of lifting of lockdown, let's get Cherry. I want that too. And I share that sentiment with you. We are all excited. Guys, you should experience the programs, the Cherry and team. It's a large team and it's like going to a concert. No, that's the feel of their activities. Emma, would you like to say your parting shot to Cherry and Candice also before we wrap this up?
Yeah. So I just want to say, Sherry, thank you for the time that you spent with us. Just like Candice, I'm also new to NLP despite having a training and development background for quite some time. I never had experience with that. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully attending your sessions very soon. And I wish you and your company success.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Emma. Thank you, Giselle.
Candice?
Yes, me too. Looking forward to joining that NLP course that you're brewing talaga caffeine boost, no? For the end of the year. But ultimately, it's a very good reminder, not only to all our listeners, but also to me as the co-host of Caffeine Boost, to really look at the nonverbal communications, things that don't come out in your words, because most of the time 93% of our communication comes from how we feel, what we think, our attitude, and I think that's something that we need to nourish as well as part of NLP programming. So
Yes.
something to take note of. Thank you,
Pay
Cherry.
attention. That's just it. Pay attention.
Pay attention. That's the
Candice.
buzzword. Pay attention, and the rest of the world will pay attention to your needs. That's what I got. And the great thing about this is I feel that my mind is strengthened because of this session, and I look forward to another day and more days despite COVID. Maraming salamat, Cherry, for framing that for us and making us feel more invincible and more strengthened. On behalf of the Caffeine Boost staff, may staff din kami, at ang ating mga co-hosts, Cherry, thank you for your time. And we would like to remind everyone to always, always, always be thinking how to be better every day. Thank you. Bye.